All praise is due to Allah, whose worth cannot be described by speakers, whose bounties cannot be counted by calculators, and whose claim to obedience cannot be satisfied by those who attempt to do so, whom the heights of intellectual courage cannot appreciate, and the divings of understanding cannot reach. He for whose description no limit has been laid down, no eulogy exists, no time is ordained, and no duration is fixed. He brought forth creation through his omnipotence, dispersed winds through his compassion, made firm the shaken earth with rocks. Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you all. My name is RAZA, and thank you for joining us today on Enlightning. And I am again welcomed by Brother Muhammad ADEEL. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Thank you for being with us again.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much, and hopefully you guys can look forward to another intriguing and fascinating discussion on topics which are centered towards the youth, topics which matter towards us and which we come across in our daily lives, and it's something which maybe at times be considered taboo and which aren't really discussed. So it's important that we touch upon these topics, which will be very beneficial towards both us and towards you guys at home. So hopefully if you do have any questions later on in the program, the lines will be open in about 10 minutes or so. The phone number will be on the screen, so you are more than happy and more than welcome to call in. Today we are going to sort of follow on our discussion from last week, where we talked about ghusl and cleanliness and performing the ablution which is required in our daily lives, and something which should be centralized and we should place an importance upon. So today we're going to be looking at a specific area of that, and it's called ghusl al-mayyit. So washing a dead body. So the ritual and the performance of something which needs to be done on the dead to ensure that the proper steps and procedures are carried out, because unfortunately it's inevitable and it's our sort of conclusion to life, really, death, which is all we should all be accustomed to, and we should all be ready for, and we should all know the appropriate steps, because it is something which can happen at any time, at any corner. So you don't know when it's going to happen, and you should always be prepared for that eventuality. And it's very important that we know the necessary steps that are required and what the procedure is in regulations with Islam and the appropriateness to it. So it's very important, as I mentioned before. I mean, only this week I attended the funeral of a 16-year-old boy who unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer, and it's something like these, which you cannot foresee. Everyone turns around and says, listen, I'm only 16, 17, I still have another 20, 30 years to live. As a minimum, I mean, people nowadays are living up to the age of 80 and 90. So, it's something we don't consider and we take for granted, the possibility of death. So obviously we should always have that in our mind. It's narrated that we should pray every namaz as if it's the last one we're going to pray before we die. So we should always have that importance. So Brother Muhammad, the topic of ghusl al-mayyit, I mean, what is the need for it, why is it necessary, and what's the philosophy behind it?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الهداة المهديين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين في مقدمه الفداء ولعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم الكتاب المبين وهو أصدق الصادقين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير صدق الله العلي العظيم. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the mu'mineen and mu'minat on the auspicious occasion of the wiladat of Sayyida Fatima Ma'asuma Salamullah alayha, and to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, Ajallahu Farajahu Sharif. You made very beautiful points regarding the Muslimayyat and what we should do in according to one's life, because no one knows when the life will end.
Absolutely.
No one can predict when the life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given will end. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed us on this earth and we return back to Him. So we don't know ourselves when we return back to Him. As we know that the logic behind Islamic laws is yet not clear for us. Every part of Islam is not clear for us. For example, we read the Fajr prayers 2 units. We pray the Zuhr, we pray Maghrib 3 units. But no one at the moment knows the exact philosophy behind that. No one exactly knows why we pray 3 and why we don't pray 4, or why we don't pray 5 in Maghrib prayers. So according to the Islamic jurisprudence, insan, mankind, has been placed on the earth for what? To gain knowledge, basically, to increase in its intellect, so that when time goes and when time passes through different eras, we learn more and we learn more, and that is one of the reasons why the Islamic laws becomes more clear and more clear. And inshallah, for the future, the people who become more learned than us, who discover many more knowledge, they will be able to predict why we do this act and why we don't do this act. As for the point raised, the philosophy behind the Muslimayyat is that obviously a person needs to wash, clean. When you see the dead body, you see that it contains different elements of bacteria, of disease, and the necessity to wash that body is one reason of it being the hygienic process. So when one washes the body of a dead person, one of the reasons it could mean that, I'm not saying that it's exactly that meaning, but one of the reasons that the scientists have proven is that when a dead body is when the ruh, when the soul departs from the human body and the body becomes hard, and when it becomes in a solid form where it's really heavy and it's cold, there are diseases emitted from that body.
What's the need to get rid of this? Obviously, someone may turn around and say, "But to put it bluntly, you're putting the body in the ground. So what's the need?" Before you answer that question, we've got a caller. Assalamu alaikum. Can I have your name and where you're calling from, please? Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Unfortunately, the call's been dropped, so please,
The question you raised is that every human being, when it's living, respects one another. I respect you, you respect me, you respect others, I respect others. So that other people respect you. In the same way, when one is alive, is living, he respects one another. The same goes for the dead person. So one of the reasons why the ummah, why the humans give on order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the dead body, the washing, is to respect that dead body, so that it departs from this world to the next world in a clean and pure state. Although Islam has removed all superstitions about the dead from the past people and the past ummah, but to understand that the dead person goes through 3 stages. He goes through washing, he goes through shrouding, and he goes through burial. So these are the stages that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed for that human mankind who is passed away. But in other words, Islam gives that importance to the extraordinary value of that person double. As a living human being, you respect one another. But when you respect the dead body by taking care of it, in the riwayat it says that when a person dies and you are taking the coffin, you should hold it, you should use it, and you should not abuse it. You should take the coffin very gently and at ease, so that the mayyit inside, the dead body inside, doesn't feel that pain. Because you know that when the dead body departs, the soul departs from the human body, he sees everything. He witnesses that who gives him the ghusl, who places him in the earth 6 feet under, who gives him love, and who cries for him. He's watching us. That dead person, his soul is watching upon us, and he sees what's going on, and he still doesn't realize that he has passed away. And he starts crying and crying, and when that time comes where he's placed inside the earth, then he'll realize that I'm going towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you have to, one of the reasons is that you have to respect the body. We all know that Islam, the Islamic point of view is that a death of a human being from this world does not end there. The chapter of that human being, the book, does not close there, and then he departs from this world, and what does he do? He opens the door, the gate is open for the next world. So whatever he does in this world will be taken into the next world. That's why there's another reason for him to go from this world into the next world in a clean state, is that he has been placed, he has given the ritual, he has given the washing, and he's being placed with a simple and plain cloth over him, so that he is ready for the next life.
Sure.
That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants him to wear simple and plain clothes, the kafan that we say, and the placement of the kafur on the 7 different parts of his body, and the scented camphor. He gets ready for the next life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to teach him that I have placed you on this earth as a ma'soom, because we know that the babies, as soon as they open their eyes in this world, until they are baligh, they are classed as ma'soom. Ma'soom not in that sense where they are infallible, no. Ma'soom in the sense that they are ummi, they don't know how to read, they don't know how to write, and they don't know how to commit sins. So they are learning from that their own actions. But when they reach that level of puberty, that level of bulugh, everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has classed in the Islamic laws, in the laws of Allah, the divine law, they have to follow it. And if they don't follow it, there's also consequences that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed for them. So we know that the sign of being a perfect human being, the best ability, we have to work towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with our best and sincere hearts. Whatever we do in this world has to be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let it be praying, let it be fasting, performing Hajj, because there are many conditions where they say that when you perform, when you pray, you can't think about others. You can't say that because he's praying, I'm going to pray. That would not mean that you are praying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
You don't have the right intentions.
Yes, the most important thing with any action is that you have the right intention. That's why the hadith goes about إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Every action is accountable for the niyat, for the intention. So if you have the right intention, if you have the pure and a simple intention where you know that you're doing everything for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept your deeds, will accept your prayers. It could be as little as eating. For example, we're sitting on the table, we have many dishes in front of us. We just take and eat. But do we think about who has given us this ni'mat, who has given us these blessings, how they have been placed on this table? Where we see that other people on the across the world, they don't have clean water to drink. Where we have jugs and jugs and jugs of water, we drink every day. We drink whenever we are thirsty. We can open the tap and we can drink. So these are the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants people to realize in this world, and for them to realize, for a human being to realize on this earth, means that he has completed his task, because he knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed him so that he recognizes Allah in the best possible manner. So the ultimate conclusion for this, as I have researched, but there could be many other reasons, but one of the reasons is that a person, when he performs, when he is going through the holy ritual of ghusl al-mayyit, is because that he needs that respect.
Okay.
Because as we respect each other, we have to respect the dead body also.
Okay, that's right. So, so why does it become wajib upon a person who has touched a dead body to perform ghusl himself? So what's the philosophy behind that? Why is it needed?
As I have explained before, that the main reason for that is when a person when the soul departs from the human body, it penetrates different diseases, it emits different bacteria, very contagious basically. So once a person touches the other the dead body, a living human being touches a dead body, we can't class Islam saying that, oh, you're not allowed to do it, he forbids it and it's haram for you to do that. No, Islam takes it at an easy level. It says that you touch that body, these are the conditions. You will either get this and that. You will, once touching that body, you might get infected, you might catch that disease. But if you do touch that body, you have to perform the ghusl for that body. So the ghusl al-mayyit is done because one wants to clean itself, because he's touched the dead body, because he's touched that, we can't say dirty body, but the body that emits different bacteria. The person who's touching it, he wants to obviously create that hygienic performance within himself. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the religion of Islam, classed the laws is that when a person touches a dead body, he should perform ghusl, so that he himself is clean, so that
So using that reasoning then, so why isn't it wajib upon a person to perform ghusl al-mayyit after giving ghusl to the body?
Because obviously we know that when the ghusl of the mayyit is performed, it's very clear and it's crystal, where one is performed by the three waters, the sidr and the camphor, the kafur and the pure water. When the dead body is washed away, we see that the disease and the bacteria are wiped away, are clean from the dead body. And when we touch that dead body after it's been cold, fully cold, we can see that we can touch it, and we don't need to do ghusl al-mayyit on that.
Thank you very much. So guys, we'll be taking a short break now, and after our break we'll be continuing with our discussion and talking about ghusl al-mayyit and its importance and the necessary steps that need to be taken to carry out ghusl al-mayyit. So hopefully you guys can join us in a few minutes, and we'll be back with you in Enlightning. Thank you.